the regime change in Pakistan. We've received the news that through the mechanism called a vote of no confidence, the government of Pakistan has been changed. In 2014, there was a color revolution in Ukraine, and it cost the Western world some $5 to $6 billion to bring about that change of government in Ukraine. They spent that money to bribe their way, to pay the cost, to bring about a change of the government. And because of what they did in 2014, look at the result today. That the people of Donbass refused to accept that color revolution, as the people of Pakistan will now do the same thing. They refused to accept that color revolution, and they resisted it. And the new government of Ukraine, which was hostile to Russia, which replaced the previous government, which was friendly to Russia, this new government then waged war on the people of Donbass for 7 years. And when Russia saw the picture that was emerging, that the steps were moving slowly but surely in the direction of Ukraine becoming a member state of NATO, and the encirclement of Russia was being achieved, and a rope was being tied around Russia's neck, Russia had to do something. As the people of Pakistan now have to do something, and this is why I'm recording this talk, to advise my brothers and sisters in Pakistan. What Russia did was to say, well, first of all, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is to refuse to become a prisoner of your strategic environment. Not at all. Rather, our Prophet ﷺ would take an initiative that would seek to transform or to change his strategic environment to make it better for him, rather than to become a prisoner of the environment. And that is what led to the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, and the Treaty of Hudaybiyah led to the fall of Khaybar, and the fall of Khaybar led to the fall of Mecca, and the triumph of the Prophet ﷺ over those who were waging war on him and waging war on Islam. So this is the value of that initiative that the Prophet ﷺ took. And Russia's leadership did the same thing. They followed that sunnah, that they took an initiative in which they raised their armed forces, and they put their armed forces close to the border with Ukraine to send a message. The message is, this is a red line. We don't want to invade Ukraine. And I believe that Russia was truthful. And I said that Russia would not invade Ukraine, and I'm proud that I took that position. The caravan will keep on moving, and let the dogs keep on barking. Russia said, we will not, we have no intention to invade Ukraine, and Russia was truthful. But the rope was being tied around the neck, and it was tightening. And Russia then said, this is the red line. We do not want Ukraine to join NATO, because that is a serious security problem for Russia. And similarly, if Pakistan is now going to go back into the Yankee camp, it's a serious problem for the Pakistani people. It may not be a problem for the leadership of the Pakistan Armed Forces, or for those who are so happy to take US dollars to try to bring about the change of government in Pakistan. But the Pakistani people, you have to do something when you see these things happening. And Russia said, this is our red line. And for Pakistan, Your red line has now arrived. That's right. Your red line has now arrived, as it's arrived for Russia. And it's only when Russia realized that Ukraine was now going to launch a massive invasion of Donbass, pre-planned, and that the Western world had refused. No, Ukraine has the right to join NATO. Every country has the right to do that, regardless of security risk and security problems, because it's for your neighbors. This kind of shallow thinking on the part of the Western world. And look at the story now. Look at the story now. Pakistan, I'm doing this for you to understand where you are now located. So that when Russia Russia intervened militarily, it was not that I was mistaken. No, I didn't make any mistake. I said that Russia would not invade Ukraine. And Russia said, we will not do it. But Russia also placed a red line. I am not in a position to place any red line. And when the red line was crossed, then Russia did invade Ukraine. I am not wrong. Not at all. I'm not wrong at all. And the same thing now with Pakistan. In the same way that Russia, with tremendous courage and integrity, intervened militarily to help the oppressed people of Donbass, and intervened military to ensure that Ukraine never becomes a NATO member state, not ever. And Russia is successful in that. That's the success of the Russian intervention, that Ukraine can never again ever become a member state of NATO. That's the success of the Russian military intervention. Let the dogs keep on barking. This caravan is moving on. And Russia is also sending a message to the oppressed people of the world that power will now be used to liberate the oppressed. Power will now be used to resist the oppressor. And I gave this comment, and I don't know whether the Pakistan Armed Forces have the intellectual capacity to even understand, the leadership of the Pakistan Armed Forces, whether they have the capacity to even understand what is in the Quran. They probably don't have more than a passing acquaintance with the Quran. These people who have the military power in their hands. What I said on that occasion was that the Quran has spoken about Zulkarnain in Surah Al-Kahf. And Zulkarnain is not to be identified with any individual, not Cyrus and not Darius and not Alexander, none of them. Zulkarnain means someone who impacts on two generations, two people, two eras, two epochs. Qarn is a generation, a people. Qarn is also a horn, but the Quran has never used the word qarn to mean a horn. Do I need to repeat that? The way to study the Quran is tafsirul Quran bil Quran, that you study the Quran with the Quran. They can do what they want, but you will not do what they are doing. You will study the Quran with the Quran. And the Quran has never used the word qarn to mean a horn. And so the Quran is speaking in Surah Al-Kahf about two events, two people in history, two times in history. And it is the two times would witness power in the region of the Black Sea, power resting on the foundations of faith. And that power is blessed by Allah to achieve whatever objective it seeks to achieve. And that power is used to resist the oppressor, to punish the oppressor, and to seek to help the oppressed, to liberate them, and to help and to reward those who have faith and whose conduct is righteous. This is the first of the two qarns of Qarnayn. And its first qarn occurred in the region of the Black Sea. The Quran uses the term بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم عين حمية, a water which is dark and murky, and that's why it is called the Black Sea. People who have sense can easily understand this subject. People who have sense can easily understand this subject, yes. And so, when the second of the two qarns is to occur, it is in the region of the Black Sea that we must direct our attention to that region. And when we see power emerging in the region of the Black Sea, and Crimea commands the Black Sea, when we see that power emerging in the region of the Black Sea, and when we see that power resting on the foundations of faith, and that power is used to resist the oppressor, even though it's been oppressing the world for 300 years, and some add 9, that godless, decadent oppressor, oppressing and terrorizing mankind. And now, after 300 years, a power emerges that can resist that oppressor, that can punish that oppressor. Wait for the big war that's coming and you see. That can punish that oppressor, that can liberate the oppressed, as the people of Donbass are now being liberated from oppression. And that power is used to help and to reward those who have faith. We have come to the conclusion that when the Soviet Union collapsed, Russia returned from being an atheist state, godless. Russia returned to her Orthodox Christian heart. Can you deny what I'm saying? And it is this Russia which is returning to her Orthodox Christian heart, which says never, ever, ever a man cannot ever marry another man in Russia and get a marriage certificate. That is for the decadent West, which has given the world NATO. And this Russia now has taken control of Crimea. This Russia has the power today that NATO has to respect. It's not like Libya. It is because of Russia's power that they've not been able to remove the government of Venezuela. It is because of Russia's power that their golden boys, their Dajjals, warriors, the ISIS jihad in Syria and in Iraq was destroyed. It is because of Russia's power that Russia has been able to intervene militarily in Ukraine, and no NATO member state dares to intervene to stand up to Russia. All that they can do is to pose sinful economic sanctions and monetary sanctions. Sinful. And Allah has responded to their sins. Allah has said in Surah Al-Rahman, "Sanafrugu lakum ayyuha thaqalan." I'm going to deal with both of you who are so laden with sin, the alliance of shayateen, of men and the jinn. This is what is the heart of the Western civilization. And so I have come to the conclusion, this is my opinion, that we are now witnessing the second qarn of Qarnayn. I may be the only voice in Islamic scholarship saying that, but never mind, I am accustomed to that. This is Allah's kindness to me. And so we are now, if I am correct, and Allah knows best, if I am correct, we are now located at a critically important moment in history, when history is turning. At this time, the people of Pakistan must understand that it's not like yesterday and the day before yesterday, when the military can come with a barrel of a gun and take over the country and then take the country back to be a lapdog of American imperialism. Not at all. And open the territory of Pakistan for 14 years for NATO to send their weapons over to Afghanistan to kill our people. Not at all. A voice rose in Pakistan, a voice of credibility and integrity and courage, and said, no, Pakistan will not wage America's wars for America anymore. We pay tribute to that voice. The leadership of the Pakistan Armed Forces may not do it. The politicians who can be bought with US dollars may not do it. The ones who have betrayed the government of Pakistan and caused this US dollar regime change in Pakistan, tomorrow the people of Pakistan will deal with you. You are a pathetic sight today. My advice is for the people of Pakistan to pay attention to the Quran. My advice is to pay attention to Surah Al-Kahf of the Quran. My advice to Pakistan, pay attention to Dhul Qarnayn of the Quran. And to understand what I'm saying to you, this is not business as usual. Not at all. This is a new page in history. A new page in history has emerged with the Russian intervention in Ukraine. And Pakistan, the people of Pakistan, you have to be on the right side of history. The armed forces are led by people who are on the wrong side of history. The politicians, the professional politicians, as usual, are on the wrong side of history. But you have a leader in Pakistan who, despite the mistakes he made with the IMF and so on, yes, at least this leader had the courage and the integrity to say, we need to build the same relationship with Russia that we have with China. And they can have the US dollar revolution and regime change. It will not stop it. This caravan is moving on. You cannot prevent it. This caravan is moving on. Pakistan is going to build the same relationship with Russia that it has with China. You can't stop it, no matter how many more regime changes you have. I don't want to see the people of Pakistan coming out on the streets in violent demonstrations. I don't want to see blood flowing on the streets of Pakistan. No. Allah is with you. And if you put your trust in Allah, you'll be successful. This is an opportunity rather than a debacle. Allah says in the Quran, وَعَسَّى أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. It may be that you dislike something, but in it there is benefit for you. And so this is my message to you, that yes, we are very sad about the events that have taken in Pakistan. While they are beating their drums, US dollar drums, and they are happy, we are sad. But the majority of Pakistani people are with us. They don't have the majority. It's just a matter of time. You have to show your strength, show your numbers, and do it in a non-violent way. Do not give any opportunity for blood to be shed. Conduct yourselves now with dignity. Conduct yourselves now following in the sunnah of the man you follow as your leader, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. And that is a non-violent response to show your strength in Pakistan, that this country cannot be stopped. This caravan cannot be stopped. The dogs can keep on barking. But Pakistan is going to build the same relationship with Russia that Pakistan has with China, and no one can stop that, not even the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of Pakistan. This is my advice to you, gently given to you today. Gently given to you, and I hope you respond in this way, and we avoid bloodshed in Pakistan, we avoid civil war in Pakistan. And when they see the evidence, mounting evidence, that Pakistan is going to remain faithful to the Quran, Pakistan will recognize that the red line has been reached. The red line was reached in Ukraine, and now the red line is reached to Pakistan. It's not business as usual, Chief of Staff, not at all. It's a new page in history, and we're going to take the people of Pakistan on Sirat al-Mustaqim. Thank you.